This is the BizGnus Podcast, one-on-one conversations with experts in business and personal development.
Laura, why on earth are you so positive? I mean, we have just come out of 2020. 2020 was so bad, it's the subject of late night TV host jokes. How can anybody have a positive attitude these days?
Well, thank you. Number one, thank you so much for having me on the show. I truly appreciate it, and it is a pleasure. So I believe that every single day that we get to open our eyes, that we are on this earth, we all have something positive to share with the world. I believe there's no accidents as to us being here at this moment in time, whether it's 2020, whether it's 1980, whatever year it is, it really doesn't matter. We are here for a particular reason, and our work is not done at this time. So there is always more to do, and there is always something positive to get out of every single day.
So have you been this positive all your life? As a young girl, were you just positive, skipping down the streets, and you just kind of laughed your way through school, yada, yada, yada? Or did you have some epiphany that changed your life?
So it's interesting, right? If I go way back to when I was a young child, I looked at life as opportunity. I literally believed that there was nothing that I couldn't do. I believed that there were no limits in anything that I could accomplish. So every single day, I kind of looked at it as, how am I going to utilize my moment in this time and at this life to make it the best? So it wasn't so much as the world is perfect and there's nothing negative happening. Don't get me wrong. I certainly see that also, but I also look at it as an opportunity to do good, whether it's a kind word, maybe it's revolutionizing something in my business, maybe it's making a difference in my family lives or my clients' lives. So ever since I was young, I looked at it as, again, today is a gift. I'm going to make it the best, and I'm going to have a positive effect, not just on myself, but on others.
Well, as a mother of two sons, I believe?
Yes.
Now, that must have been trying. How did you keep that positive attitude as you were trying to rear your sons?
You know what? It's interesting. My style and my kids are grown now, but my style of parenting is you treat children the same as you would treat an adult. You just speak to them at the level that they understand. So we grew up very, very tight-knit, very, very open to every experience and enjoying our time together. And I'm very close to my children, even now as grown men, where we can talk about anything. We can get through anything. And again, that limitless of anything you want to do in this world, it has been passed on to them. So now I am watching the next generation of Brandaos take on the world and make this difference. And I believe we all have that. So yes, it was a great joy, of course. Being a mother is one of the greatest things you could ever have in this world, but also what an obligation. You are forming new beings into this world to where now they will continue that. So I looked at it again as I had this obligation of molding these two young boys into men that will have a greater impact into the world later on.
Are you, I hate to make you sound selfish, but are you glad you were able to do it before the current troubles, we shall say?
Well, it was a different time. It definitely was, because when my kids grew up, they didn't grow up on social media. That didn't hit until my kids were teenagers. So by the time they were getting hit with all of that coming at them, they already had formed decisions in their brains, and they had already knew right from wrong and what was not accurate or stay away from. I say it all the time to my kids now, that my grandchildren that don't exist in this world at this moment, but I say, it's different. Being a parent to kids that literally out of the womb are almost handed an iPad and are almost on YouTube, at the age of like 2, it's different. So I wouldn't change anything from raising my kids at a time when it seemed it was a simpler time. I'm sure, listen, if we ask my parents, my grandparents, great-grandparents, I bet every single one of them would have said the same thing. Every one of them would have said, well, it was a simpler time in 1920, or it was a simpler, we all probably will say that, right? In any generation that you were. But I enjoyed the period of time in which my kids grew up. And I'm sure, just like anything, we're all adapting. We're always adapting to this new change. So whatever time period it is a wonderful thing to be able to continue on our next generation.
Now, you have put a lot of your philosophy into a new book, the name of which seems to be scrawled on the wall behind you. Would you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Yes. So the name of my book is Say Yes Every Day. And where that came from, so I have worked in mortgages since I was very, very young, in my early 20s. And I went on the corporate side, and I worked my way up to where now I'm the only woman president and partner at my firm, which is American Financial Resources. So I spent a lot of time building, growing, strategizing, and working my way up within the mortgage industry. Well, with all of that, I was always in the office, first one in, last one to leave, worked my tail off to get where I was. Well, the year was 2018. And during this time, we were going through a cycle in the mortgage industry where there was something called margin compression. What that means is that although you were doing the same amount of business, you were making less on every transaction. Okay, so here I was, at that time I was chief operations officer, and I had to figure out how to get more business into my company in order to be able to increase the profit of the company. So at that time, I was approached by an organization, a mortgage organization, to go and speak on stage at a conference. And I said, oh, no. I work in the office. I run the company. I don't go and get on stages. And this gentleman said, Laura, I really think you'll do well. You need to come. And so I said yes. But then as it got closer, I got a little nervous. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have one of my salespeople go and let him go up on the stage. Okay. So here we go. I've got a plan. Well, that gentleman called me and he said, hey, I hear you have someone else coming to do that speaking event. And I said, yeah, he'll do wonderful. And he said, no, I want Laura Brandao. I don't want anyone else. And you're doing it. Well, Douglas, that was one of the very few times someone said no to me. Because as I started going up the chain and the ladder of corporate, as the higher you go, people don't say no. Most of them say yes to that person. So when this person said no to me, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do my best. I'm going to practice. I'm going to research. I'm going to do my best. Well, I got up on that stage, and that was the start of my transformation. Women started coming up to me saying, Laura, we have never seen an executive woman in the mortgage business up on a stage before. We've never heard a woman sharing her views before. You need to get up there more, and you need to share some of your expertise with the mortgage industry. Well, at that moment, I started saying yes. Every day, I would say yes to being on a podcast, going to another speaking event, having a magazine article written. And as I started saying yes, new things started to come. I became president at the company. I became the chair of different organizations. It was one ripple after another. So as this happened, I started thinking, wow, I've had this great career. I love my career. I love my industry. But by saying yes to new opportunities, other things started opening up. And on an airplane ride home from a vacation with my family, with my kids and my husband, I got an idea. What if I start documenting what I say yes to for the next year? And let's see what happens. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to Google "say yes every day." And there was no such website. And so I purchased the website and I started blogging every single day since July of 2019. And I have literally transformed my entire life by meeting new people, experiencing new things. And don't get me wrong, saying yes every day isn't always being on a stage. Saying yes every day could be putting your phone down at dinner and having a conversation. It could be a walk in the park with your spouse. It could be sitting quietly and reading a book. It could be just doing something that maybe you weren't open to before. And so that is where the book came from. And it has shown me that, again, every day is a gift. Don't repeat the same thing you did yesterday. Do something a little different. Open yourself up to have a conversation with a stranger. Do a podcast with someone that you've never met before. Share your views, because that's what the world needs, because we all have a gift to share with other people.
It sounds like you might have a career far beyond the mortgage industry if you keep this up.
I love that too, because it morphs, right? We all transform. We're all going through a transformation. And Say Yes Every Day has taught me that. And it's a lesson for all of us. It's for the whole world to say yes every single day.
Where can our audience get hold of your book? I would imagine the obvious would be Amazon, but other places as well?
Exactly. So on Amazon, and also my website, Say Yes Every Day, you could certainly go there. And, Say Yes Every Day is a mindset. It's going into every day like an adventure, because I have to tell you, I held myself accountable by creating a blog. And every single evening thinking of what I said yes to today, it holds me accountable. It makes it so, well, I better find something that I said yes to today because I'm holding myself accountable to do it. I invite everyone on that journey. Think about what you can do today that is not going through the same routine that you did yesterday or the day before. Because what's the point in living if you're not truly exploring life and saying yes to new adventures?
You've been watching the BizNews Podcast. We welcome your input. Send your email to editor@biznews.com. Thanks for watching.